Mr. L.Q. Jones.
All your relatives can hold it now. Okay. Cat.
So, L.Q. Jones, born Justice Ellis McQueen, August 1927. An American actor.
32?
Huh?
Huh? Okay.
Yeah, plus a few extra. Actually, you got your name through your first film role, right?
Yeah, it was the first part I played in Battle Cry.
And that was 1955.
4. It was released in 5. We
Released
started
in
in
5,
54.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you made another film with Anthony Mann too, didn't you?
No, everybody here I've done at least 3 pictures with, but not Tony again. But you got to pardon me here because I haven't seen the picture, Chris, for years and years and years. It ain't pretty, and it's not enjoyable, is it? But it's something that a writer, a director, and 3 other men actually really wanted to say, and they said it. It doesn't have the curly cues of most war pictures. I've done, good heavens, 16, 17 of those.
I read it was actually written by Ben Maddow, who at that point was blacklisted, and
Yeah, they had to
Philip
work it
Jordan was his front.
Yeah, had to work it under another name. So, I mean, I didn't have anything to do, and this was like my, I think, 3rd picture I was ever in. So I've just kind of learned the business. But boy, I went to school watching these people work. Ryan, you expected what he did. Aldo, you expected what he did. Bob Keith, same thing. But he took a bunch of really young people and made them work together. May I just a second, because you may not even know this.
Just go ahead.
Most of you know how pictures are made. A lot of you do and a lot of you don't. But normally when you go to work and you'll see a call sheet for the day and it'll say page 17 to 18, 42 to 46, and we'll jump all over the spectrum shooting the picture. You just shoot trying to do the exteriors and keeping the interiors as cover sets. So if you have to, you can jump into them, and you get used to that. I've done, they tell me, 113 movies and between 300 and 400 television shows. This is relative quiet here. This is the only picture I have ever heard of, or certainly ever seen, that we started on page 1 and we shot straight through the script. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
And
it was shot right here in one of the canyons in the Hollywood Hills, right?
The one where you see the cave and all is up here in Bronson.
Bronson Canyon, right.
But it's so, what do I say? You begin to notice, I did, I'm sure all of you did too, there's a rhythm that gets started and it grows as the picture goes through. And that, I think, contributed mightily to that work of starting at the beginning and going straight through. Have you ever heard of it happening before on a motion picture?
I think I can't think of any examples right now, but there have been
There
other
probably
examples.
have been, yeah.
Especially more recent examples.
It lends something to it. I don't really know what it is, but I thought maybe you'd like to know that before we got started, because Tony did a heck of a job. Your restoration people are marvelous. I mean, they deserve a hand.
Yeah. Scott McQueen, who's in the audience, do you want to stand up?
Please stand up, for goodness sake. Where are you?
There he is.
Aha. Excellent job, truly excellent.
One of the things that impressed me is that Anthony Mann shoots the film so tight. I mean, so many of the shots are really claustrophobic close-ups, and part of the paranoia of the film is that when you see long shots, you don't see anything, and when you see close-ups, things happen that come out of nowhere.
Well, that's the way he believes war is done. If you're in it, that's the way it is done. But again, it's that rhythm that he installed, and he does things that you can't get away with, and he got away with them. It's really a marvelous piece. Again, whether you enjoy it or not, something else. But it's fun to look at.
How was it working with Robert Ryan?
I've worked with Bob three or four times. He's an absolute nut. I mean, he does everything right. You hate people like that. He's as tough as you see. You see the? Pardon me, I'm laughing here. We did the Wild Bunch together, and okay, we
had to get to Peckinpah sooner or later.
Well, you have to, but we're all staying in private homes because there are no motels or hotels other than one. In Peckinpah, the rat has got that, so we're all living in these houses. Now, Bob is staying he's all by himself, he and Bill Holden. So he invites me over for dinner. And fine. And the lady that owns the house is cooking the meal. Now here's this really tough man. He's really tough, right? She serves us a pepper dish that would raise a blood blister on a rough out boot. And you watch Bob and you take your cue from him. She leaves, he takes the food and he throws it under the carpet because you can't eat it and still talk. Now that's that tough human being, Bob Ryan. He also finds out that this lady has a family of 27 or 28 children. She's taking care of them in an orphanage. And the way she does it is she cooks little bitty pieces of candy. You've seen little brown bars of candy, about so long, and she sells them. And she sells them for maybe 25 centavos, which is roughly about 2.5 cents, right? Bob sees what she's doing, and so he has her cook about 10 of them and takes it out and he sells it to us. Peckinpah had to pay 10 grand for his. He knew I was cheap, and so I only had to pay 1,000. But when we got through, she had raised $35,000, which took care of the kids for about 5 years. Now that's a tough man.
Those are
That's
$69 too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, not pesos, dollars.
Right.
Yeah. Phew, tough man. Yes, sir.
I thought you were just going to keep on talking.
No. I said we need something that's serious, and I'm listening to you.
So do you have any more stories about Anthony Mann and the way he directed actors? I mean, it was one of your early films, right?
Yes, sir. It was, like, say, third or fourth. I've
Yeah.
forgotten which it is. Tony he's like William Wellman. He says what he wants to, and he does what he wants to on the set. And you listen to him because he is prone to talk and tell you what he wants. By not telling you what he wants, he talks around it, and you have to figure it out. And we keep shooting until he gets what he wants. Now, but this to me is great fun because you saw where we did the shooting up here in Bronson Canyon. Okay? Now, Tony, bless his soul, is not too religious, I suppose would be the way to describe it. He can't say 2 words without a curse word intermingled. That's just the way he was. He had and she came on the set, a teenage daughter, like 13 or 14. His son, that I won a fortune from playing gin, came along. He's about 18 or 19. Tony talks that way. I mean, he make a sailor blush. We got used to it. We come to this scene. Yeah. This is toward the end of it is the end of the picture. And we've started, it's now like 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning. We have not yet turned on the cameras. They are burying the explosives, putting all of us in place, getting everybody on the hill. And he's sitting there, he's really boiling. and you can hear him curse for a mile and a half. But he's going on, and we're getting something done. Now, finally, we're getting very close, but still not there, and a little VW microbus pulls into the set, right in the middle of the set. Well, the steam comes out of his ears, and he's jumping up and starting to talk, and the door opens up, and two nuns get out. And they shepherd about 7 or 8 little kids that are somewhere in the 8 or 9 years old out of the van. We're saying, oh God, this is the end of us. He rushes down to them, and we're waiting for the explosion, and he bowed to the ladies. He shook hands with them. He invited them up to the camera. They sat. He put chairs down for them. He explained to the kids how you make motion pictures, how nice people are. He didn't say even heck. He went right along, and we're there, and the AD finally walks up and he says, we're ready to go, Mr. Mann. He says, fine. All right, let's get this goddamn thing shot. And he went to work, and he cursed for 15 minutes. It was beautiful to watch the nuns running. They were going so fast, the skirts were sticking out back. That's to me is Tony Mann. I'm sorry. Oh, God.
What a great story.
Oh, what am I? Oh, dear. Okay, shut up. Yes, sir. He's like working with Scorsese. He never tells you no. You do what you think is right, and if it is not exactly what he wants, he'll come over and, listen, Q, what would happen if? And he lays out what he sees for the scene. He doesn't say, I want you to do this. He doesn't stop if you start doing something else. He'll start again. He'll say, listen, what would happen again if? So he gets everything exactly the way he wants it without telling you what he wants. And so you think you're doing it. You're not doing a damn thing. You're doing exactly what he wants you to do.
But that's a good director for you, right?
You bet. That's why I say he'd make William Willman happy. He just gets it done.
Questions from the audience. We have microphones up at the top, so don't start talking until you get a microphone. Right here, over here.
There's one victim.
Yeah.
In 1956, I was 13 years old, and my
Congratulations for that.
thank you.
Listen, we wish we could do that.
And my uncle, Irving Lerner, brought me to Bronson Canyon to watch a day shooting this film. So I'm extremely grateful that the preservation has been as outstanding as it is. And I'm wondering, I saw my uncle's credit on the screen as supervisor. Do you have any idea what he did on the film?
Oh, I don't, but I'll tell you what, he damn sure did his job or he wouldn't have been there. We were very short of money for the picture. It was very tight, and the people you saw were the people they thought would give them what they wanted. And so I may have sounded like I'm trying to be funny. I'm not, because if he was on the set, he was doing his job and doing it well.
Well, he worked with that group on several films, and by the way, there is a little piece about, I guess on the archive's website, questioning whether there was actually a Philip Jordan, and whether it was not just an nom de plume for Ben Maddow. I can testify there was actually a Philip Jordan. He actually was a writer, and he was a front for Ben sometimes.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. But again, he did his job, and thank him for that. So did Phil. Yes.
No other questions? Right over here.
Thank you. I know it's a long time ago, but can you recall how many days it took to shoot this film?
Not exactly, but it'll be somewhere around between, let's say, 4.5 and 5.5 weeks, which is pretty quick, damn quick. Yeah. Up to that point, I had, let's say I'd done 3 other pictures. The average time was 4 months. So 5 weeks is really getting it done. But everybody was prepared. We had plenty of downtime at the beginning. If you're really interested, I've got the script. I'll have to dig for it because I've got at home like 500 and some odd scripts. But if you really want to know, normally I do the script and put the shooting schedule in it. So I've got both of them. I'll look if you really want to know.
There's an offer.
I'll give you, when we get through, let me give you my phone number, or you give me yours.
Right,
Please.
right down here.
What sort of prep did he have you guys do to get into the great work you guys did? Did you have a boot camp beforehand?
No, he told us how much we were going to be paid. That pretty well got you. You were ready by the time he told you that. No, but he got us into it whether we wanted to or not. For instance, normally you're doing any show, but you do a war picture, and you come home in the evening, take clothes off, the laundry picks them up, and they're clean, and you have them the next day. I think mine got washed once in 5 weeks. I mean, down when I was the strongest actor in town. But, that's what we did, and that got us into it. We didn't get very good food, if you will. We didn't have much time. We were put like on 42, which is a short meal penalty. I mean, things stay out of the meal penalty. And they treated us as a unit. They really wouldn't talk to Bob and not include the rest of us. And it grows on you after a while. You get to where you're pulling for some guy and you expect he's going to watch your back for you, if that tells you anything. But other than that, we didn't do much. That answer it? Thank you, sir. Come on, you cowards.
Now the hands are going up.
Look, he's standing up.
All the
We're
way
in
in the
trouble.
back. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to ask about another film that supposedly had a difficult shoot. I understand that Casino was very hard to work on because you shot in the casino very late at night after it sort of got a little quiet, like between 2 a.m. or something like that, and it was just really tough.
You've put your finger to a problem because I didn't get started in Casino until, I think probably a month or two when they were shooting, when they started shooting. And what they were doing was working in one of the casinos. And I think it was the Sands, I'm not sure. But they would try to work at starting 2 o'clock in the morning and shooting until they got to 8 or 9 o'clock, and then the crowd would come in. They'd have to stop, but it was costing the casino money to let them shoot, and so they said nope, and they withdrew it. What they did then, which slowed everything down again, they went out and bought a building, which was a racing commission of some kind, and they turned that into the casino itself. Now stop and think about that. You see the match covers, the chips, the tablecloths, the napkins, everything has to be done. And they did all of that to shoot it. Then we could pick up. We picked up a little speed because we could shoot, which we did in many times 18 hours a day. That answer you? Oh, thank you.
Up here, right in front here.
Do you remember what the response was when this came out, and when that happened? If you, what you had to, when you were getting your next picture, if that was something that you were looking at?
I missed the last Question, last part of it?
What the response was, and when you
Yeah, I
were
heard
going
that.
about getting your next picture, because it was a little bit questionable, as Chris had said, in the way of war treatment, if that had any effect on your career.
You know, I got the answer, but you have another one?
No.
Nope, coward. Okay. It did not do very well. Wasn't terrible. It just did not do too well. It's one of those pictures that when it first comes out doesn't seem to work. And then it will start kind of behind the scenes to pick up steam. And this one has done that. But during this period of time, the only place you could sell your picture was to the networks. And they came out of that because of the names they had in the piece. So that got their money back and made them a tad of profit, but I don't think it set any records at the box office. I'm not sure because I wasn't in the counting office. They may have a different answer. Yes.
No, the film did not do so well at the box
No.
office. No, and it's in that sense, it's a film that, now we look at completely differently. I saw about a year or two ago, the restoration of the Sand Pebbles, and that's another film that when it came out in '65, it bombed because it was a parable of Vietnam.
But look at the money they had in that mother. So that was you could do okay with Men in War, but God, that bankrupt the state. So it wasn't a bad picture. It was terrible. It was a good picture.
Right up here, yeah.
You already spoken about the Bronson Canyon location, but the first half of the film, it was different. I know the LA Times article about the festival mentioned Malibu, and the American Film Institute catalog says Malibu Canyon. Is that true? And if so, do you know any more specific location to where that was?
We got so invested and involved in making the picture, and we were working our tail off, and we didn't have much time to rest, and so we weren't paying much attention. In the morning, we'd get in the buses, and wherever they took us and stopped, we jumped out and started working. So didn't really pay much attention. I didn't. Not sure about anybody else. But now, after the fact, I've seen so many of them so many different times that we were out at Malibu. You notice all the stuff with the dead grasses, that was all shot there. And we had to be very careful because of fire. Even then. So, but other than that, sir, I'm not really sure if we knew where the heck we were. Nor did we care. Let me get home in the evening. Yes.
Yeah, one last question right here.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how Mann compared or similar or different from Peckinpah in terms of working style and personality, temperament.
You jest, of course. You're talking about Tony?
Yeah, Mann.
And you're talking about Peckinpah? Well, let me see. If you know anything about the business at all, if you do a picture with Peckinpah, you're crazy. That's a fact of life. I did 12 with him. So, they're all good directors. Sam was a good director. He was a better writer than he was director, but he was a good director. And all of them that are good directors get their way. The Scorseses, Tony, Peckinpah. You can go back to Ford, Wilder. They get what they want, and you don't give it to them, you're in a world of hurt. Sam was just crazy, but he was also talented. If he were alive today, I'm sure he'd be committed, and should have been. Peckinpah. He's going to do Noon Wine, okay? He's the only director they would let touch Noon Wine. She wouldn't let anybody else do it. So at that point in time, he had been shunted out of the business. He was not in the business for about 4 years. They wouldn't let him onto the sets. They wouldn't let him onto studios. They wouldn't return his calls. Sam was dead. And so Danny got him noon wine. Do you know the story at all? Catherine Ann Porter?
The televisions.
Yeah, it is television, but that's the only way you could get there. Peckinpah would do it. But so he called me and he said, "Oh, good, we're going to go back to work." Crazy. Except I can't do it, Sam. Why is that? Well, I was doing the Virginian, and we were working 6 days a week, and I can't get off. Maybe on a Saturday I could do it, but you're not going to do that. You're going to shoot it. Oh, he said, "Okay." 2 days later, called back and said, "Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to shoot you on Saturday and Sunday." All right? That's fine. What do you mind? Wardrobe, he wanted me because of his son. I can train a kangaroo to do the part that I did in about 3 minutes, but he wanted it, so that's what we're going to get. And so he said, "Look, you can go to wardrobe and so forth." Now, I was shooting that day until about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. We'd started like 6 in the morning. The wardrobe lady had waited this whole time. She had gotten there a little bit after 4, I think, in the morning to do the work. She got through with a regular date. She waited for me. I got there as quickly as I could, which was about 9:30 at night. We got the work done. She did marvelous stuff, had it laid out for me. And she says, "I'll let you know if this is okay." Sam had said, "Come by the office when you get through." So I went by, and there's only Sam and I sitting there talking. And for one of the few times in his life, he really was being honest with himself, because he was scared to death since he had been turned out of the business. And he said, "What's the matter? Why don't people like me?" Well, that's a question you want to be very careful of with Sam. So I said, "Well, I'll tell you, Sam, you're an ass." Actually, I said it a little more stoutly than that, but we'll clean it up for here. And, well, why is that? I said, "Because you're a total ass, because on the set, you don't say anything to me, because I'll come back at you and we can have a fight. But you pick on people who cannot fight back, who are working for a living, and you take advantage of it, and you're a total ass when you're working." "Oh," he said, "Yeah, well, you really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, well, I tell you what, you watch me." And the phone rang. And he picked it up, and it turned out it was the wardrobe lady asking some question. "Oh, yeah, and he went on for about 5 minutes. He slammed the phone down, and he turned back to me, and he said, "Now you let me know if you notice that I do anything unusual." Yeah, that's Peckinpah. And Tony was the same way. He just showed it differently. But these people are great fun because they keep you on edge. You're trying to get through the day alive. And so you really watch what you're doing. So yes, each one has his own way of doing it. And the outcome is what they want. Whether that's good or not, something else. But that's why these people are good and repeat and do it all of the time. That answer? Yes, sir. Thank you.
LQ, thank you for sharing with us. And thank all of you for coming.
You bet. Thank you very much, folks.